Hey guys, what's up? This is Adam here, aka Cena Guy. I'm in the process of reviewing all the Home Alone movies. I reviewed the first two Home Alone movies, Home Alone 1 and 2. The first two Home Alone movies I enjoy. You know, great Christmas spirit mood lifting movies with lots of comedy, charm to the characters, good comedy interaction between Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, who played Harry and Marv. Macaulay Culkin, excellent job as a child actor. Macaulay Culkin went on to do films like The Good Son, Party Monster, Richie Rich, Uncle Buck. You know, loads of great films. And in the first movie, who can you forget? How can you forget the likes of like John Hurt, John Candy, and all them people? And then you get to Home Alone 2, which was a solid sequel. I do go on and say in that movie review that it was an unneeded sequel. You know, you could have got away with Home Alone not being a franchise. Because in number 2, I do say that it's essentially the first movie made again. Macaulay Culkin even said that in an interview. But it's pretty much the same. But with a few slight changes. The fact it's taking place in New York City. And you also had an appearance by Tim Curry, who played the hotel manager in part 2. And it was nice to see him. Of course, he plays Pennywise, the dancing clown from Stephen King's It. So the bottom line is, the first two Home Alone movies, they're Christmas classics. I love both of those movies. I've seen those movies countless times, up to the point where I wore out the VHS tape when I was a kid. And like I said, the first one was made in 1990 and the second one was 1992. And the first duo are arguably, no doubt, possibly one of the best Christmas movies ever made. But then you get to this movie, Home Alone 3, which came out in the year of 1997. Now, I remember watching this movie for the first time at the cinema with a friend. I don't know why, but for some reason I liked the movie back then. But after rewatching it again moments ago to do this review, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I mean, this is not a good movie. I know there's a lot of people out there who defend this movie, saying that just because Macaulay Culkin ain't in it, just because Daniel Stern ain't in it, just because Joe Pesci isn't in it, or none of the cast from the first two movies and any of that does not make the movie shit. It was still funny, blah blah blah. People still defend this movie. If you like Home Alone 3, that's great. That's your opinion. In my opinion, I used to like this movie, but looking back on it, and after watching it moments ago, I didn't enjoy this movie, everybody. And granted, it's not the worst Home Alone film in the franchise, because you get to Home Alone 4, taking back the house, you got the Holiday Heist, and Home Sweet Home Alone. Those movies are way more worse than this one. That I admit. But this movie has everything that the first two movies didn't have. There was no charm with the characters. The lead kid, I'm sorry, I didn't care for him. I'm not saying he was a horrendous actor. But when you compare him to Macaulay Culkin's character, he had no charm. He had no, star power interest in, as a child actor. I'm not saying he was a horrendous actor. But when you compare him to, the child actor from the first two movies with Macaulay Culkin, you can see a big difference straight away. I mean, the kid wasn't annoying or anything like that. He was like a standard character. So when you get to Home Alone 3, you think to yourself, how's this movie going to be different from the first two movies? We've got to figure out why the kid's home alone. We've got to figure out why some burglars are going to burgle this house. It's the same concept as the first two movies, but how are you going to make it different? And they came up with the most basic idea ever, in my fucking opinion. He's home alone because he has the chicken pox. So in the first movie, it's not like as if they left him at home because the McAllister family went to Paris. It wasn't like Home Alone 2 because Kevin McAllister went on the wrong flight. This is because he had chicken pox, because at the start of the movie he plays in the snow, he ends up getting the chicken pox and he's home ill. And while all this is happening, there are not one, not two, not three, but 4 people who are trying to smuggle this chip past security by hiding it in a remote control car. One thing leads to another. The remote control car falls into the wrong hands, just so happens to be in the possession of the boy, and now the 4 burglars are on a mission to try and get the microchip back from the remote control car. And that's basically all your story in a nutshell. And speaking of the burglars, I mean, just because there's 4 of them, it doesn't mean you're going to get tons of more comedy. It doesn't mean it's going to be 10 times more funnier. It doesn't mean it's going to be non-stop action. Because at least with Harry and Marv, they had like a charm to them when they had an interaction connection. Why the hell did you take your shoes off? Why the hell are you dressed like a chicken? You know, with the sticky bandits. You know, so with Harry and Marv, you can get away with it because they made the film what it was. The 3 lead roles, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, Macaulay Culkin. Those 3 stars were the treasure of the film. But when you look at the burglars in this movie, you get 3 guys, you get 1 woman. And like I say, none of them have their own catchphrases. When they all work together as burglars to try and get this microchip car, I admit I chuckled at a few things. I chuckled at the fact that when the guy gets hit in the dick, he goes, "You just hit me in the winky." I don't know why I laughed at that part, but I did. I don't know if it was a desperation laugh. The thing with the talking parrot made me chuckle a little bit, you know, where it was our thing like double or nothing, and he's like, "I only have one." So that made me chuckle a little bit, but it wasn't like out of this world funny, but it was funny. But not out of this world funny. So one thing leads to another. I mean, when you think about the parents, I mean, you got the father who isn't really much to talk about. You got the mother, in my opinion, who's the most chilled out mother in the fucking world, because this kid calls the cops more than once to the house to say the house is being burgled, and then when the police arrive, they can't find no evidence of any burglary. And the mother seems so chilled out by it all that their son is calling the cops, and the cops are issuing out warnings to the family saying, please don't keep calling out the cops to the residents. Scarlett Johansson is in this movie. But again, in terms of the traps, they were very far-fetched. I mean, I know I say the far-fetched in part 2, but in this movie, we get a lawnmower that comes from an attic ceiling and shaves a guy's head. We get a guy that looks like a raccoon, you know, with his eyes getting spray painted. Boxing glove to the fucking stomach that comes out of a cupboard, and we get a few whoopee cushion scenes, and there's the ending scene where 2 guys jump from the roof and they go on a trampoline, but they end up going through water, freezing cold water. Freeze! You gotta be kidding. So in terms of comedy, it just wasn't there for me, everybody. I mean, like I said, there was a few scenes that made me chuckle just a little bit, but it wasn't like out of this world funny. Like I said, there's no treasure and charm to any of the characters. They were very uninteresting. And again, you did not really need this movie. I mean, I know this movie went out to cinema when it first came out in the year of 1997, and I was all pumped for it. I mean, I was like, this is going to be like Home Alone 1 and 2, but even I remember at the time, you know, watching this in the cinema, the whole cinema was just fucking dead when I watched this movie. I mean, even the scenes that were funny with the burglars, nobody laughed hard that much, you know. And I just remember a lot of people having their head down, leaving the cinema saying, geez, that movie sucked, you know, and I remember that. But watching this movie moments ago, it took me right back to the time when that really happened. But I don't know, Home Alone 3 just did not work for me, everybody. You know, the first 2 movies will always be a classic, but the third movie, you did not really need this. Although you keep saying you don't need it in part 2, but at least in part 2 they put some sort of effort into it. I mean, I will do some research right now about some other facts about this movie, Home Alone 3. Let's type in. It's nice to know like some facts, like when we look into the movie. I want to know more about what the director did and those kind of things. So let me type this in on my laptop real quick while it loads up. Home Alone 3, 1997. A film directed by Roger Gonzalez. I've never heard of that director. Roger Gonzalez, let's have a look at some things that he's done. He did Home Alone 3, which was 1997, his first one. He did Big Mama's House in 2000. He did Scooby-Doo in 2002. So he's made films from 1997 all the way to 2021. The last film that he did was Good on the Hotel Bible, which is co-directed with Alicia Joy and Lee Blanc. So, I suppose the only thing I remember that this director did was Big Mama's House, which was in 2000, and of course Scooby-Doo in 2002 and Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed in 2004. Oh yeah, and the Smurfs, which he did in 2011, and of course its sequel in 2013. But I'm not really a big fan of those movies. Written by John Hughes. Hold on a minute. This I need to look into. John Hughes. John Hughes. He was the writer of Home Alone 2 and... What the fuck? Home Alone 1 and 2, he was the writer of that. He was also the writer of Home Alone 3. Wow, that is fucking amazing. I mean, considering all the great things that he's done, like... He did 101 Dalmatians and... some other movies, Baby's Day Out, Miracle on 34th Street, Flubber, and I love Flubber, which starred Robin Williams. But wow, he did the writing for Home Alone 1 and 2, and he did this one as well. It just goes to show that I was completely fucking out of ideas for this fucking movie, you know. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now, everybody. I'll just go on the line just saying that Home Alone 1 and 2, we can all agree that them two are the best movies, but this Home Alone 3 just didn't work for me. I know this movie has some of its fans. I know a lot of people say that although it's not in any comparison to 1 and 2, it's not connected, it's still a fine Christmas movie. If you like the movie, that's fine. But I was not a fan of this movie. I wasn't a fan of it. Well, I was a fan of it in 1997 when I first watched it, but rewatching it moments ago, it's not a very good sequel because it doesn't connect to the second one, and like I say, none of the characters had charm. They don't have that connection to it. You know, 1 and 2 are arguably one of the best Christmas movies ever made, but this one was just so unnecessary. And that's the way it is. So I'll wrap it up right now, everybody, by saying thanks for watching this. And if you've got anything you want to say about Home Alone 3 or anything you want to ask or leave any comments, leave them in the comment section below. And I'll get right back to you. Alright, so thanks for watching this, everyone, and have a Merry Christmas. Peace out. Bye.